About slope today. Slope is a way to talk about how steeply or how shallow a hill is, right? So in math, in algebra, it's used to describe the steepness of a line. And it is a ratio, and it compares the rise to the run, a ratio of rise to the run. You guys think you know what rise and run means?
No.
Rise is up and down, and run is left and right.
Oh, it's simple, because yeah.
Okay, slope is equal to rise over run. You guys, you ninth graders, actually you eighth graders might have seen this too, but any line, you can partially describe it with its slope. So I just drew kind of a random line over here. Identified a couple points that are on the line. So you really you need to start by identifying 2 points, and then any 2 points on the line, you can find the slope between those 2 points, and it'll end up being the same thing, by the way. I kind of missed, but there should have been like another point right there at 4, 3. Anyway, any 2 points on the line will give you the slope. So what you do is you count the rise and the run between those 2 points. What is the rise from here to here? 2. What is the run from here to here? 3. So the slope would be rise to run 3. So on this one, the slope is 2/3. For some reason, they decided that m stands for slope, so you could say m equals 2/3. Well, I was saying you could use any 2 points on the line. That would also be 2 and 3. What if I used, sorry, what if I use these 2 points? What would the slope be?
A lot, maybe.
The rise would be 4. The run would be 6. And guess what happens to 4 over 6?
2/3.
It reduces to 2/3, so it's the same thing. So my point was, it doesn't matter what 2 points you use, the slope will always be the same thing. Okay.
Oh, bless you. Bless you. Nasty.
Can't believe you heard that.
Wait, want me to say it louder?
No, she didn't. You already heard it. Okay, what do you think would happen to the slope if I made it steeper?
It would get faster if you work your roll down.
So what's the rise from here to here?
3.
What's the run?
1.
1. So it's 3 over 1. So what happened to the slope?
Bigger.
Got bigger. Went from 2/3 to,
3 over 1.
you could say 3 over 1 or 3. Same thing. Okay, what do you think would happen to the slope if the line was going down?
Not me.
So now this might trick us. Is everybody paying attention? What's the rise from here to here?
-2.
Yes. So because it's going down, you should think of that as a -2. So the rise is actually a fall of 2. And what's the run?
2.
Okay, so it's rise over run. What's that reduced to?
-1.
-1. -1 over 1 is -1. So what happened to the slope when I went down from left to right?
It got small.
It turned into a negative.
Okay.
So when the lines are falling from left to right, you know how we read left to right, like this direction? So if the line is falling in that direction, it's a negative slope. My first 2 examples, the line was climbing in that direction.
It climbs to the right and falls to the right.
If it's climbing to the right, yeah, it's a positive slope.
And if it falls to the right, it's also
So you always go from right, left.
If you think about it from left to right, that'll help you, yes. So this is a climbing line, so it was a positive slope. This was a falling line, so it was a negative slope. a point, I forgot what it was gonna be. Oh, what if we went backwards? Let me change color so we can actually see it. What if I went from here, what if I went that way? Like, what's the rise right here? 2. What's the run?
2.
Negative 2. So the slope is 2 over negative 2, which is still negative 1. So it works both ways as long as you call what's negative negative, as long as you don't screw that up. So when I went this direction, it went positive 2 up and then negative 2 left. So the negative switched sides, but it still comes out as negative 1. Okay, so what kind of slope, what do I know about the slope of this line before?
It's going up.
Positive. What do I know about the slope of this line?
Negative.
Negative. Okay, if that's true, then what do you think I know about the slope of this line?
It's not going to
It's
go
not
anywhere.
either.
It's neither.
Zero.
What's between positive and negative?
Zero.
0. So you're right, yes. The slope is 0. If you think about it like from here to here,
It's not.
what's the rise?
It's like
It's 0. What's the run? 2. What's 0 divided by 2? 0. So yeah. 0 slope. Okay. Now that probably made sense. This next one might not.
vertical.
Yeah, we gotta do a vertical one. Oh, darn it.
Oh my gosh.
I love the green and red.
Christmas.
Yeah.
It's not even Thanksgiving.
I feel like the green is too dark for
It's
Christmas.
brown.
Okay, so maybe you guys know this from memory. What if it's just a vertical line?
It's going straight up. Like it.
Okay, let me choose a couple points there. What's the rise from there to there?
That's what we know.
What's the rise from there to there? 2. What's the run from there to there? 0. What's 2 divided by 0?
2.
Nope. Error. Undefined.
Oh, what?
Can't divide by 0. So sometimes they say the vertical line has no slope, or sometimes they say undefined slope. Horizontal line, we call it a 0 slope. Just think, because 0 is between positive and negative. Alright. You guys lock that in your memory?
No.
Got it locked in? Okay, let me quiz you then. I wish I could draw straight lines, it just doesn't. Anyway, doesn't really matter. So we'll call this line A, B, C, D. What do I know about the slope of line D?
It's negative.
It's negative.
Oh.
What I didn't, maybe I should add one. What do I know about the slope of line F?
Negative.
It's negative, but how does it relate to D?
It's right next to
Oh, wow.
Okay, if it's steeper, it's gonna be
it. Lower.
a bigger negative. Like, if this is negative 1/2, this might be negative 3 or something. So, it's just a bigger number. Absolutely. What do I know about line A?
It's positive.
Positive. Line C?
0.
What?
It's going to be higher than the other one.
Undefined slope or no slope. Line B?
0.
0.
How do you know if it's 0 or undefined?
0. Undefined.
Oh.
Well, did you see what I did earlier? If you think about it, that might help you. Like from here to here, what's the run?
0.
2. What's the rise? I should have done that first. 0. What's the run? 2. And 0 divided by 2 is 0. From here to here, what's the rise? 1. What's the run? 0. And this dividing by 0 is nonsense. So this comes out as, it'd be an error on your calculator, but just undefined is what we call it.
We can't write error.
I saw it as the x-axis, so I was like, what? And then I realized it was straight up. No.
Well, yeah, the x-axis would have a 0 slope. This is the x-axis. And the y-axis would have an undefined slope. Alright. Oh. Well, you guys know on that first, where's the first one I did? On that first one, how we found the slope by counting the rise and the run on all those? Well, what if they just gave us a couple numbers, like a couple points, like 3, -4, and 2, 6 or something? How could we find the slope between those 2 points?
Graph.
Okay, you could graph it and then count. That would take a long time. When we graph it,
Why?
oh, I didn't want to do that. When we graph it, where does this 2 come from? The 2 is basically the change in the y values, right? It's going from -1 to 1.
Y1
So it's y minus y. And the run is the change in the x values from -2 to 1. So it's x minus x. So this is called the slope formula. Slope equals y minus y over x minus x. So you don't have to graph it and count. If they already graphed it, you might as well just count, but you don't have to graph it. You can just do y minus y over x minus x. So let me go back to that example over here. So what's y minus y going to be?
4 minus 6.
Over x minus x.
3 minus 2.
Okay, now maybe I should mention the actual formula, if you like see it in the book, will look like this.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Have we seen those little 2's and 1's before?
They're in science.
Okay, it just means the second y and the first y. Well, let's come back to that later. I actually did the first y minus the second y, and the first x minus the second x. So this comes out to -10 over 1. If you can reduce it, you need to reduce it, just like pretty much all fractions. If it does reduce, -10 over 1, you could call that -10. If it had been like -10 over 4, you would need to change that to -5 over 2. If you're not good at reducing fractions, your calculator can help, I guess. Okay, I'm warming up. I'm about done.
So,
What if I subtracted backwards? What would happen? If I did 6 minus -4, y minus y. Make sure you're putting the y's on top. A lot of people get this wrong is because they put the x's on top. Over 2 minus 3. What happens when I subtract backwards?
it's 10 over -1, which is -10.
Okay, so I got the same answer. The negative was on the other side, but it gave me the same answer. So, here's what you can't do. You can't do y1 minus y2 over x2 minus x1. You gotta go the same direction. So if you go like this, you need to go like that. Not like this. If you do this y first, you need to do this x first. That's what I'm saying. Or you'll get the opposite of the right answer. Okay. I think we're ready to start. You guys write that down. The graph paper, the half sheet is for the last 4 questions. So most of this is not graph paper. Okay, number 1. So we're using all 3 of those pictures on 1 through 6. The question, and there's multiple answers on some of these. For number 1, which of those lines have a negative slope? Sarah? A, yeah, in the first picture, and D in the second picture, yeah. So you just put A comma D. All right, let's see if you guys remember. Number 3, which line has a slope of 0? You guys recall? E, yes. The horizontal line has a slope of 0. Number 5, this one's confusing. Which line has the slope with the greatest absolute value? Okay, absolute value makes everything positive, right? So if you did the absolute value of negative a million, it'd be positive a million, so it'd still be a really big number. So technically negative a million is a small number, but when you do absolute value, it makes it huge. So how do you get, what kind of lines make the number really big, Paxton?
Make the number really big? Like
Yeah.
if they have absolute
The slope really big, yes.
So like B is like its absolute value.
Yeah. So what they're getting at is the really steep lines have really big slopes. And it might be a really big negative slope, but when you do absolute value, it makes it a big positive slope. That's what they're, so it is D because it's the steepest. So on 6, it says which line has a slope with the least absolute value, but it says the least non-zero absolute value. So other besides E,
Well, that one's
X.
fine.
which line would have the,
Is that C? Could be.
which line, well, I'm not going to tell you actually. Which line would have the smallest value, absolute value? So it'll be the line that's the opposite of steep, so it'd be shallow. But it's not the 0 line. It's not E. So I'll let you guys figure it out though. All right, number 7. Find the slope of each line. So this is what I was doing at the beginning. They drew it for us. So what you have to do first is identify any 2 points that are easily identifiable on that line. So can you guys tell me where a couple points are?
3, -1.
Okay, there's definitely a point at 3, -1. Where's another point?
0, 1.
0. So 3, -1, there's a point. And then, so you gotta count the rise and the run. So if I go this route, what's the rise? -2. What's the run?
-3.
3. So the slope is rise over run, -2/3. Doesn't really matter where you put the negative as long as it's on there. Could be -2/3, or it could be -2/3. Negative could be in the middle. You could even put it on the bottom of B.
Notre Dame.
Okay. Number 9. Where is a for sure point on that one?
0, 0.
0, 0. What else?
-3, -1.
-3,
-3,
-1.
-1, or 3, 1. Okay, so what's the rise here?
-1. 1.
1. What's the run?
3.
3. So rising 1, I'm going from here to here. I always think about it from left to right. You can go from right to left. The rise in that case would be -1 and the run would be -3. But that still is -1 over -3 is still equal to +1/3. Negative divided by negative. Either way, it's +1/3. All right, on 11. So this one we can just do from memory probably. What's the slope of a vertical line?
Undefined.
Undefined. Kind of out of room here. Okay, 13. Find the slope of the line pass. So how do I find the slope if they just give me 2 points?
Can you put it on each one?
Kind of.
Or M equals Y, 2 minus Y.
Okay. Did you guys notice this earlier?
Yeah.
Y minus Y breaks minus X. I never put the little 2's and 1's because it's just easier to remember. As long as you go the same direction, you'll be okay. So on 13, it's 2, 5, and 3, 9. So again, you can go either direction. If you go this way, you'll get positive numbers, so that might be easier. So 9 minus 5 over 3 minus 2 equals 4 over 1. We means for every 4 units the line goes up, it goes 1 over. That's what it means. Okay, 15 says 2737. This is going to be a weird one. When you have two coordinates that are the same, it's something weird's going to happen. So if you do y minus y, that'd be 7 minus 7 over 3 minus 2. 7 minus 7 is 0. What is 0 divided by 1?
0.
0. So that means it would have been a horizontal line if we grabbed it.
Mr. Jordan, you should give it some sprinkles.
What do you mean sprinkles? Oh, donut? Is that what you said? Green donuts, my favorite. Number 17. 3, 6, negative 4, negative 1.
Is this the same thing as we just did?
Yeah. Why is it in the B section? Probably because they like reduce, or are weirder. They're a little bit slightly harder. Okay, 3, 6, and 4, negative 1. So y minus y. I guess I'll go this direction this time. Doesn't matter. But when you do 6 minus negative 1, that's actually like 6 plus 1, yeah. So, and then 3 minus negative 4. What's 7 over 7 equal?
1.
1 over 1 equals 1. Nineteen. 5, 7, negative 1, negative 3. So y minus y over x minus x. 10 over 4. I think I wrote this one on the board earlier. How can we reduce 10 over 4?
5 pounds.
Divide by 2. Divide by 2. 5 over 2. This time it's probably a little bit easier than yesterday, you guys think? Yesterday I had all those graphs. 21, negative 1, 7, negative 1, 2. Something weird is about to happen. So y minus y over x minus x. 5 over 0, which means what?
Undefined.
Yeah, undefined. I'd say equals, but that kind of doesn't make sense. Let's put arrow. Undefined.
Why can't you put in equals?
Equals is for number values.
Your negative equals.
Why shouldn't
I'll just count it wrong,
Yeah.
because I'm a grumpy old man. Guess we need another piece of graph paper. What number are we on?
23.
23. Uh-oh.
Yo.
It's time to panic. Okay, so y minus y. I guess. Sure, I'll go left to right again. Negative 2.5 minus 4.5. 4.75.
Wait, can we do 24 instead of 23 together?
Nah. Oh, that was 25. Alright, did I write it correctly this time? Okay, yeah, well, if you want to do 24 by hand, the y values would need a common denominator. So negative 4 over 1, multiply that by 2, turn it into negative 8 over 2. Anyways, when you do a negative minus a number, that would be like adding two negatives, so the top would be, no, that's multiply. This is like backwards 2.5 steps, backwards 4.5 steps. So it's negative 7. And or you can think of it like money, maybe that usually helps. The bottom is like $4.75, losing $7.25. So it'll be negative. The bottom's negative. You could do it. You could work it backwards and then just make it negative. Or so it says 250, but I did backwards, so it's actually negative 2.5. Yeah, that's probably a good one for the calculator. So it's 7 divided by negative divided by negative is positive, right?
Y'all.
7 divided by 2.5 is the same thing as 70 divided by 25. How many times 25 going to 70?
2 with one.
Kind of a big pain to do without a calculator. How many times is 25 going to 200?
4 times.
8. So, and then you bring the decimal straight up, so it's 2.8. Now, no, it's positive. Negative divided by negative is
I
positive.
didn't see the bottom.
Pretty much every time you'll want your slope to be a fraction, but since that was like a decimal problem, we'll make an exception, yeah.
So would 17 through 24 also be m equals,
What?
like for the answer slope, would we put
Oh,
like,
put m equals. Well, I haven't been putting m equals. I could have put it if I wanted to, but I think I just didn't think about it. It doesn't matter. You can say the answer is 2.8 or m equals 2.8, whatever. Well, on 25, they did put m equals, right? So on 25 is a graphing problem. And they say, the directions say, graph the line passing through the given point with using the given slope. So we need to make a graph. Any ideas how we're going to do 25?
Set up your formula and then like plug numbers in.
No. Okay, so we know that the line is going to go through 3, 1, because that's what they're telling us. So I'm going to put a dot at 3, 1, a point at 3, 1. Then it also tells us that the slope is negative 1/4. So what can I do with that?
You put it at the negative 1/4.
Okay, remember that slope is equal to rise over run. So what that is telling me, and also remember earlier I said you can put the negative on top or bottom. You can think of the rise as negative 1 and the run as 4. Or you could put the negative on the bottom and think of the rise as positive 1 and the run as negative 4. Well, yeah, let's see what happens. I want you guys to make 3 points on these graphs. So if I rise negative 1, that means down 1, and I run positive 4, there'd be a point right there. What if I did the other one? What if I did a rise of positive 1 and a run of negative 4? So that would be backwards. Yeah, see how those 3 points are still on the same line?
Are those the 3 points you want us to have?
Doesn't matter.
So we have to just make another point?
You could, no, those are 3 points. So you could go, I could have gone backwards twice, like rise 1, run negative 4. I could have gone to the right twice, but it would have been really far off my graph. I didn't want to do that. So one way you can check is our slope is negative, so our line should be falling from left to right, and it is. It's going down 1, right 4. Dang it. Okay, last So on this one, the starting point is, or one of the points is 2, -5. So that'd be, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. And it says the slope is 3/2. What do I do with that? Rise 3 and run 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Do you guys know how I could go back? How I could have gone backwards on this one? Positive 3/2 is the same thing as -3 over -2. So I could have done a -3 rise and a -2 run. So I could have gone backwards. And it's still in the same line.
Can you scroll
Is
back
that
to
7-1?
Hmm?
5?
Is that last one at 7-1?
Just count up 3 and over 2.
But that's at 3.
Count up 3 and right 2. From 5, -2. Up. So up 3, over 2.
No. Is this one at 2?
Okay, so, yeah, I said it wrong. I said 5, -2, so. And then so you go up 3 and over 2.
If it's just one number,
Which number are you talking about?
26.
Okay, on 26, it says the slope is 6. So what does that mean? What is 6?
6/1?
Right, what is 6 as a fraction? 6/1. So you can do rise 6 and run 1. So that one's pretty steep.
I don't know, is there always just an arrow?
Yeah. On all these lines we'll be graphing, there'll be solid lines with the arrows on them.